All right, we're back. The Morbid Hour. It's been a while, and it's time to discuss horror and metal once again.
Yeah.
Hope everybody's doing well. Looks like 1-2 is in the chat already. How's it going, 1-2?
What's up?
Good to see you.
How's it going?
Yeah. Glad you're here. Glad you can make it.
Indeed.
So yeah, today we're going to be counting down our top 5 favorite horror comedies. That's of course scary movies that have a humorous edge to them. They balance scares and laughs. And horror comedies are definitely my favorite. Some of my favorite types of movies. They're the most fun and enjoyable to watch, in my opinion. As much as I love a good creepy, atmospheric, suspenseful, like supernatural horror film, I definitely think that a horror comedy would be more enjoyable to watch with a bunch of friends when you order a pizza and have like a party type atmosphere. So yeah, our top 5 horror comedies and our top 5 favorite death metal bands, which is something we haven't done yet, so that should be interesting. Daniel Krylov is in the chat. How's it going, Daniel? Good to see you.
You make a good point there. That it's something that's fun. Like if you're partying with your friends and hanging out.
Yeah.
Horror
Absolutely.
comedy is perfect for that.
Yeah. Yeah, horror comedies, I think, are the most fun movies there are. Even more fun than just a regular straight up comedy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it's fun to get scared and to laugh at the same time. It's like a combination of 2 really great feelings. I'm doing very well.
Done well, it's not always done well.
True, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of misfires. That genre. I guess I'll go ahead and start us off this time so we can do a little clockwise rotation.
Right.
Oh, Irish Knights in the chat. How's it going, man? Oh, Lar Park Lincoln passed away. Did she play Tina in Friday 13th Part 7?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
What?
Sucks.
Wow. Can't believe it.
I just saw that about an hour ago. Now everyone's posting.
Sucks. I really liked her.
Wow.
She was my favorite. She was my favorite female protagonists. Final girls in the series, actually.
She's good, yeah.
Yeah, she was cool. She was actually a match for Jason with her powers of telekinesis.
Right, she really gave him a run for the money, boy.
Yeah, I love that fight they had at the end. Some people don't like that movie because it did something different, but I actually like it for that. I think that was an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
No, that sucks. Yeah, I just looked it up. She was 63. Bummer. Yeah, that's the first I heard about it.
That's young, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Huh. Well, rest in peace, Lar Park Lincoln.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, you're right. She did definitely. It's definitely a worthy opponent, Mr. Voorhees.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, NY Fan Camo 1. Yes, it is sad news. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
NY Fan Cam is, of course, he's one of my favorite viewers. He sent me stuff in the mail, such as a Danielle Harris autograph, a Kane Hodder autograph, and some really cool, I believe, on Valentine trading cards and some other cool stuff.
Oh, cool.
Badass.
Nice.
Oh, and the lovely missus in the chat, too. Hey,
yes. Good evening.
My lovely wife.
Welcome.
The bride of Hellhound. The queen of Hellhound. Yep. Hello, sweetheart. Glad you can make it. All right. So anyway, my 5th favorite horror comedy. I went with one that's a little more modern. Because I'm mostly an '80s guy, but this one was came out in '99. So it's gonna be Idle Hands.
Oh, nice.
And this one's definitely way more of a comedy than a horror. It's probably like 90% comedy, 10% horror, but it is a horror premise. A guy's hand gets possessed, and then he has to cut it off, and then it's going around killing people. Yeah, it's very, very, very funny. This movie's hilarious. It has a lot of laughs, but you know, it definitely has a horror premise, and like I said, and it has some pretty brutal kills. It was a little gory, more so than you'd expect anyway. Yeah, some of the kills are pretty nasty, but it's still very, very funny. So, you know, it's not really done in a disturbing way. Just, yeah, it's hilarious. I've always liked Devin Sawa. Of course, he was also in Final Destination and the Chucky, the recent Chucky TV series. So he's no stranger to horror. And yeah, he's funny in this. Of course, there's also Seth Green and Jessica Alba. I think that was her first movie, I'm pretty sure, or one of her first.
Yeah, wow.
Very, very, very funny movie. Just hilarious. My wife and I actually watched it not too long ago, and she thought it was really funny too. Yeah, I really like that premise too. A killer hand, you know. That's cool. That's a cool idea. Like the Beast with 5 Fingers, you know, the Peter Lorre movie from way, way back in the day.
Oh, way back.
Yeah. But yeah, really funny movie, and yeah. But pretty gruesome at the same time. It's a dark comedy in all the right ways.
Great.
Man.
I saw it shortly after it first came out, and I thought it was really, really enjoyable.
Hell yeah. Love it.
I haven't seen that since it came out. Like,
Yeah. I
long
always like to
time
show
ago.
it. I like to show it to people for the first time, to friends, and I always find it funny.
Definitely a fun movie.
Oh, sounds good, man. Oh, I love wrestling trading cards. I've got a few. I used to have a lot more, but I only have maybe like 10 now. But yeah, looking forward to it. I'll definitely give you a shout out.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Best horror comedy is a hard list. Yeah.
Well, we had Kerry King show up at WrestleMania. How about that?
Yeah, that was awesome. Almost made me want to root for Damian Priest, but I'm
Badass.
I'm such a huge Drew McIntyre fan. But,
Oh yeah,
I like him a lot. I've been watching. I've been a fan of him pretty much around the time he's first started, so I really like his style. But yeah, it was really cool seeing Kerry King shredding on his guitar. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting him to be there.
I know.
That was one of the best parts.
Indeed.
That was one of the best matches too, for sure.
Yeah, it was.
I got my wife into wrestling. She watches it with me now.
That's awesome.
Cool. I didn't think she would be into it, but she actually really enjoys it a lot. Now I don't want to watch it without her.
my wife puts up with it, but you know,
Yeah.
get into it once in a while.
Yeah.
It's more she more makes fun of it than anything.
Yeah, I can see that. There's definitely a few elements that that can be legitimately made fun of.
Yeah, of course.
There's definitely a few silly things about it.
Hmm.
Brother love, and then
Brother love.
the guy in the chicken suit.
I love you.
Yeah. I love when Roddy Piper pretty much knocked him out.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And Doink the clown, that was pretty out there. There's a lot of absurd, over the top moments
At that time, especially
Yeah,
the early
yeah,
90s.
especially.
Like,
the WWF.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cena Orton feud is I guess it's gonna be a backlash in May. I'm looking forward to watching that. May 10th, I believe. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I'm
it
glad
should
you
be
like it, babe. I love watching it with you, honey. Mark Henry.
sexual chocolate. Well, am I next to
Yep.
going? Yeah. I'm gonna go with the one that's probably no big surprise, but Evil Dead 2: Dead by Dawn.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely a classic. A great mix of kind of slapstick comedy, that style that Sam Raimi loves, and I mean, what a great performance by Bruce Campbell, obviously, and it's so much fun. It's so it's so crazy. It's zany. It's almost like a wild, wily coyote cartoon or something at sometimes. Like when he's flying in the air, smashing into the tree, and like spinning around. This is crazy, but it's a blast. I love it, and probably my favorite scenes is when when the hand is infected. Speaking of idle hands or whatever, that's my favorite part, when the hand starts choking, starts smashing his head against the counter, flipping him around. It's insane. Smashing his head with plates. It's crazy.
Even makes noises and stuff.
Yeah.
Who's laughing now? Fun stuff.
I love when the hand flips him off.
Yeah.
When the hand gets caught in the mouse trap and Ash starts laughing.
But first one up for me is going to be Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Yes.
I loved the concept of this movie, how all the serial killers were like in the same universe and documentary or whatever. But, the way it's great. You got Robert Englund as Dr. Loomis, or his Dr. Loomis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool when it becomes like an actual slasher at the end of the movie, where they're like, oh shit. But yeah, the look of the killer's cool. It's just a blast of a movie. A lot of laughs, great kills, and yeah, just it's such a blast.
Yeah, I love the premise. It's a very unique and original concept. Like, they're doing a documentary about this guy who, like, is an aspiring slasher, and like, it's funny because like they're pretty much encouraging him, kind of, and like
I know, right?
They're right with it, and it's done in a very funny way. And then he actually goes after them, and it's like, oh, okay, and then it becomes then like, oh,
he's actually serious about
he's serious.
Yeah.
He even chooses who he wants to be his final girl and everything.
Yeah,
such a great plot.
Yeah,
it's really funny. And they even kind of set it up for a sequel, but we never got one, unfortunately.
I know, it sucks.
Yeah, it would have been cool to see a part 2. I like the Leslie Vernon character.
Yeah,
it was very enjoyable to watch. And like you said, yeah, Robert Englund as the Dr. Loomis type was a really interesting way to switch it up. Interesting in that type of role.
I really liked him in that role. Like, I almost maybe want him to play Dr. Loomis, like if they ever rebooted or something,
Yeah, they actually talked about that there's like rumors that people were really wanting him to be Dr. Loomis. He would have done a good job.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though him and Donald Pleasance look nothing alike, but but performance-wise, it would have been great. He played a kind of a similar role in the movie Python, which that wasn't a very good movie, but he was, of course, great in it. He can make anything better. He's one of those actors he's just always on his A game, even if it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Much like Jeffrey Combs and Bruce Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good choice.
Thank you.
Excellent choice.
All right, so my number 4 pick is probably the first horror comedy I ever saw back when I was first getting into horror and was really into the Universal, the old black and white Universal monster films. It's, of course, going to be Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Nice.
Now, I love this movie because, for one thing, it's hilarious. It's really not scary. Of course, I didn't think any of those Universal black and white horror movies were scary. At least, probably when they first came out, they were. But by the time I saw them, they didn't scare me. I loved them, but I didn't find them scary. But this is pretty much all, it's a straight up comedy. It's all laughs. But what's so cool about it is we actually saw Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Frankenstein monster all interacting quite a bit. Like in House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula, like they didn't really balance out having 3 monsters very well because Dracula was killed off before the other 2 were introduced. In House of Frankenstein, and then he was killed off very shortly very early on in House of Dracula too. He didn't really get time to interact with the other monsters. And this one we see quite a bit of them. And Dracula is played by Bela Lugosi once again. He was played by John Carradine in the 2 House movies, and he was okay, but nowhere near as charismatic as Lugosi. And this is his second and final time playing Dracula, even though he did play a very similar type of character in Mark of the Vampire and Return of the Vampire. But this is the only other time he played Dracula in a live-action movie, and not a TV episode or just like a special or something. And he was great at it, They're all great. And all the monsters pretty much played it seriously. They played it straight, which made it all the more funny when Abbott and Costello, especially, just made, were just goofy. Especially Costello. I think I always thought he was the funnier of the two. Abbott is kind of the straight man, but he's really funny too, especially when he reacts to all Costello's shenanigans. Yeah, the movie's hilarious. Like, it's very, very, very funny. Of course, I saw it at a very young age, so it probably was the first technical horror comedy I ever saw, and still one of the best. Yeah, I love Abbott Costello, and I love the Universal monsters, and I think when they're combined together, they fit together pretty seamlessly, and it works pretty well.
I love the part when he's like, "There's this guy like this, another guy like this."
okay. A guy going like this, and a guy going like this.
And then he went like this.
Check. That's so funny.
And Costello did quite well with those 2 women like fighting over him and stuff.
Yeah. And Abbott's character, Chick, he was jealous and stuff. One of them had sinister intentions. He was working with Dracula, so. And for some reason they wanted to put Costello's brain in the Frankenstein's monster's body. I think the reason was so that he would obey him more, but the Frankenstein monster already obeyed Dracula, so I don't know. I guess they just had to come up with a way to tie them together. They just had to put them. They had to give him some kind of like motive to go after the main characters.
Yeah.
But it was still like when he calls him Junior.
Yeah. I really like Glenn Strange as the monster.
He's really good.
Yeah, not quite. He's no Karloff, but he's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's always great to see Lon Chaney Jr. reprising his role as Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman. So
he's always great.
Yeah, I really like all the chemistry they all had together. Yeah. Very, very funny movie. It's just an absolute riot.
No doubt. So my next one, my number 4, is going to be the one that Jason just mentioned. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Yes.
Nice.
Absolutely agree. It's an excellent movie. I think it hits you the way that, not to say that it's like Scream, but it hits you that way because it's
self-aware.
It's such a good parody of slasher, but at the same time, it is a great slasher too.
It's very self-aware, like Scream. It plays upon the tropes and cliches of the slasher and turns them on their head. That self-aware, satirical feel.
Mm-hmm. But I love how when it's time to get serious, it gets serious,
Oh yeah,
and it gets pretty brutal towards the end, like the final act when everything comes together and is trying to put his plan to work,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A good cast too. The guy from Walking Dead and the lady from Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And obviously Robert Englund is great.
Oh yeah, always.
And that guy who played him was so good. Like, I can't believe I've never seen him in anything else. What was his name? Nathan something? Or...
Nathan Basil, I believe.
Yeah. I've never really seen him in anything else. Have you?
I don't think so. Honestly, the way he looks, he kind of has a Dexter vibe to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen him in anything else either. Yeah.
But yeah, I love how they will kind of give you a little insight on like, oh, so this is when the final girl is gonna feel like she's being watched. So then you get to see him how he manages to do that, and it's such a good time.
Hello, when the news anchor is basically watching him stalk a girl, stand there, like sit there, like stalking a girl out and telling her what he's gonna do. It's crazy. It's so funny.
Kane Hodder even had a cameo.
Yeah.
I like how Kane Hodder and Robert Englund were both in it. They were also both in Hatchet, but they weren't both in Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
And they're both in the Wishmaster, remember?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Kane Hodder's a security guard, and England is the owner of all the collectibles, all the rare artifacts.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
And I like Leslie Vernon's mentor, his character too. I like to believe that he's actually Frank Zito from Maniac, because like all the slashers are like real, and
I know.
Universe. And so,
oh, that would be wild.
Yeah.
They even show like Freddy's house and stuff.
Yes.
And I think it was the Maya's house. Did they show them?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, talk about them as if they were Michael and Jason and were real and everything.
Yeah.
In the same universe.
It's a really cool idea.
Definitely. But next up for me, this movie is a laugh riot. And that is Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, nice.
Have you guys seen this movie?
I have.
I haven't.
I recommend it. It's really good. It's really funny.
I won't spoil everything, but essentially it's a flip on the head of the whole college kids getting in the woods and killer hillbillies type of thing, where the hillbillies are the good guys. They're just two normal guys, but college kids, the killers. Like, for example, there's a scene where they're out fishing in the water. They're just chilling. And then one of the college kids is going up to swim, and she falls down and hits her head. They save her. He's trying to give her mouth to mouth, but her friends are like, "Oh my God, he's eating her face!" And he's like,
"Yeah, it's all a misunderstanding." Like they think that they're killers, and they like get accidentally killed themselves, and then everything. It's just so funny.
That's funny. That sounds good. I like that.
Oh yeah, hilarity ensues.
Even the title itself is kind of like a misunderstanding, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, but there's no evil. It's just a bunch of crazy ass college kids.
We'll have to check that out.
Well, there is a little bit of a twist. I won't give it away, but there is a little bit of a twist to it. But but yeah, it's a really funny idea, and it's done very, very well.
Yeah, it's just so funny the way they do things. Like when he's like, "I think I want to go talk to him." He's like, "Go talk to her, man." And he goes up and he's like holding a scythe, and he's like, "So you guys going camping?" But,
it kind of has like a similar tone and like a similar like attitude as something like Shaun of the Dead. I think
definitely
it's kind of that same feel.
But yeah, I highly recommend it. So fun.
I need to watch it again. It's been a while. I've only seen it once, and that was like when it first came out. I need to give it another. I need to revisit that one.
That sounds good. Is that on any like the streaming networks that you know? Is that TV or anything?
It might be. I haven't really.
Probably. So my number 3 is probably going to be the first like horror movie that actually was pretty scary, but had a whole lot of comic relief in it that I ever saw. Of course, I already established the first horror comedy that I ever watched probably was Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein. But I think this is the first one that actually blended horror and humor that I ever watched, and it probably was one of the first ever made to really utilize that concept fully. And that's going to be American Werewolf in London.
Nice.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. This is easily my top 10 favorite horror films ever made, and it is pretty scary, especially the part where the two backpackers who are traveling, they're hiking through England. They're walking on the moors, and like they basically kind of get kicked out of this weird club, and they're walking, and they hear an animal like howling, getting closer and closer toward them. The suspense is just unreal. That's a really, really scary scene. I think it's the scariest part of the movie. There's a few other scenes that are suspenseful and really creepy, but I think that's definitely the scariest part. But it's also hilarious at the same time. Like especially the Jack character, who's played by Griffin Dunn. He's killed off by the original werewolf who bites David and turns him into a werewolf, but he comes back as a ghost. Jack does, and he's really, really funny because he talks about things that he's not like really, really serious and deadpan. He says, "Oh, you're cursed. You need to do this," which he does say, but he makes all kind of jokes and stuff too, and talks about women that he wanted to like score with and stuff, and it's really, really funny. There's all kinds of really funny moments like that. And then of course when David is trying to get arrested, he's trying to get this cop in London to arrest him, and he's cussing and stuff and talking about Prince Charles and Queen Elizabeth. There's just really, really funny stuff like that. And then the scenes in the porno theater where he's talking to Jack, and the fact that Jack's a ghost, he looks more and more decomposed every time you see him, and the special effects are incredible. The makeup work of Jack, and of course the werewolf transformation effects are the best ever, right up there with the howling. They're just incredible. But yeah, really, really good movie, both scary and funny, and I think it balances the two pretty flawlessly. They go together very well, because when it needs to be scary, it's scary. When it needs to be funny, it's funny, and it never feels out of place. Like the sequel, American Werewolf in Paris, that didn't balance the two very good, and had really, really ugly CGI werewolves. Yeah, that was actually good. But this movie's a masterpiece, in my opinion. And like I said, it was one of the first movies I ever saw that seamlessly balanced horror and humor very well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a classic. I never get tired of watching it.
I was randomly watching this show, and there was this scene with a bar, and it was called The Slaughtered Lamb. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm a nerd.
But yeah, I agree. You could go from a scene where he's in pain transforming and it's just horrifying to randomly a kid going, "A naked American man stole my
balloons." I love it. It's so funny. Freddy's Dead, Halloween Resurrection, and Texas Chainsaw Next Generation.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
As a horror comedy, yeah, Halloween Resurrection is a good horror comedy.
They're so terrible that you can laugh at them. They're so bad that you can laugh at how horrible they are. Next Generation probably is like one of those movies that can be like so bad it's funny, but it just like depresses me so bad, and how terrible it is that I can't watch it. I can't watch it in that mindset either.
I can't even with Freddy's Dead. It's just that's too much.
Too stupid. It's too silly. But I could definitely see where somebody could.
Yeah, I could see how people would find it funny.
Yeah, you're very close, Irish Knight. You're very close. I'll explain more when I get there.
Well, my next pick would be American Werewolf in London. Yeah.
Nice.
Agree with everything you said. Absolutely. Like you said, it's a perfect balance of horror and comedy. Equally well done in both areas. And there's some legit scary scenes, like when the wolf is chasing the guy through the train station, and that's really scary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't really get a good look at that. You just kind of see the bottom of the escalator, and then you just kind of barely see the wolf, but the guy's screwed. Like, oh boy. It's gonna get ripped to shreds.
Yeah, it's a very suspenseful scene too. Especially if I would see the werewolf like just slowly entering into the frame.
And there's that classic scene when he's dreaming, and then the dude knocks at the door. It's like, "Bah!" The Nazi dude with the mowing down his whole family and stuff.
Yeah, that must have been an expensive scene just for a dream sequence, just for a short dream sequence. Probably cost a lot of money to film all that.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy. Hello, Jose.
And,
How you doing?
And like Horror Fan 88 just said, yeah, the transformation, of course, I love how, it's like he's in pain, his limbs are stretching out and you can see the pain in his face, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Great choices, Daniel. Yeah, hell yeah. Those are all great.
They're coming to a convention near me, David Norton and Griffin Dune.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I met David Naughton at a horror con a couple years ago. I got his autograph back there on the wall.
Nice.
You can probably see it. Yeah, he was really cool. Yeah, he was really, really friendly and really nice. He answered all my questions and stuff, and he seemed like a really cool guy. And yeah, Griffin Dunn wasn't there, but he said
I didn't realize he was in freaking Who's That Girl with Madonna.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow.
I'll be right back.
Right. Well, yeah.
I was just looking at a list of accolades. I'm like, what?
But yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch WrestleMania, but I did see a few clips on TikTok and stuff. So
That's cool.
The Kerry King thing, that was badass.
Yeah, I know. I only wish the whole band was there. That would have been really awesome.
Yeah.
Like Slayer. But I guess Damian Priest is hosting like their big show coming up. That's probably why it came about,
Yeah, it was yeah, it was really cool to see Kerry King. I really wish yeah, it would have been cool if Slayer, the whole band, had been there.
But next up for me is one that I've just rewatched so much because I love it. We've already talked about it, but it's Idle Hands. It's just such a blast movie. Everything, like it has that Evil Dead 2 vibe where he's just like doing all that stuff, and like great kills in the movie, and then it becomes hilarious. Thanks to someone, and then you expect him to peek around he like pushes his dog out in the corner just to see first. Yeah, definitely. I was great. Great soundtrack. You got Rob Zombie in there with Dragula.
Yeah.
I think Motley Crue shouted the devil song. But yeah, it's a laugh riot. Great kill.
Cool soundtrack.
Yeah, just such a good time.
I like that cover. I like that cover better that you have. It's mine. Yeah, the cover you have, the hand is all green and rotted. Mine, it just looks like a normal hand.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
You have slightly,
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, yours is the slightly newer edition. I like yours better. I wish mine looked like that. Mine just looks like a normal hand. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider those horror comedy, although they do have some comedy, but
Which ones?
Fright Night and Lost Boys. I wouldn't go so far as to call them horror comedy. The horror outweighs the comedy.
Yeah. I would agree. I love Fright Night, but and I wanted to put it on my list, but to me, it's more horror with occasional like that was kind of funny.
Yeah, there are definitely some funny scenes, but Reanimator as well. Yeah, there's definitely some funny stuff in that. I'm curious what the next one will be.
Yeah, I've got a few honorable mentions.
Well, you're up.
Yeah, I agree, Irish Knight. Yeah, I'll go my honorable mentions before my number one spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually got a few here. I'm actually trying to decide because now I'm thinking about changing my choices a little bit.
I was doing that earlier. I'm like, oh man, should I do that?
The more I thought about it, now I'm kind of reevaluating a little. It's like, do I want to change it?
This is one that's so classic. I'm like,
yeah,
but I don't watch it that often, so it's like, torn.
Would you guys consider Return of the Living Dead a horror comedy?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely got some funny parts, but
yeah,
it's probably more horror, I guess. I don't know.
I think it could be considered.
Yeah.
There's some funny shit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has the horror and it has the comedy, but it's not like Scooby-Doo level like part 2 is.
Yeah, that's like definitely
silly.
Part 2 is absolutely horror comedy.
Part 2 is too silly. You say it's a horror comedy, Irish Knight. You watched it drunk, high, and sober.
But those guys that work at the morgue are hilarious. They make me laugh.
Yeah.
So over the top, like, oh my god.
Yeah, Frank and Freddie. I think the older guys are even cooler than the young punk rockers.
Yeah, I know.
Clu Gallagher and Don Calfa and James Cairn all three of them are awesome. They're funny and they're just cool. The punk rockers are awesome, but I think the older guys are even cooler.
Yeah.
All right, so we all established it's kind of debatable whether Return of the Living Dead is a horror comedy or. I mean, if it counts, it's got to be on my list. That's what I'm trying to decide. I've always thought of it as one, but like I think it doesn't like it's not like 50. It's not like 50-50. I think it's definitely more horror than comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably more like
it might be
80-20. And Fright Night also, like if that counts, it's got to be on my list because I like it better than Idle Hands and Abbott Costello v. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
That one I feel is more horror than.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm thinking maybe Return of the Living Dead is the same because that's way more graphic and gruesome than Fright Night.
Yeah.
All right, well, those will just be honorable mentions then. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and go with my original number 2. That's going to be Army of Darkness.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could argue that this isn't really a horror movie. It definitely is more action adventure comedy, but it's definitely horror as well. Like,
yeah,
it's mostly action adventure and comedy, but I mean, it's a horror premise. I mean, it's an army of skeletons and demonic possession and stuff, just like the first two. Though it's very, very different from the first two. The first two was in a cabin with people getting possessed, and it's blood and gore. This one could almost be PG-13. It's a way more tame than the first two. But of course, Bruce Campbell returns as Ash, and he's just freaking awesome. He's my favorite horror protagonist of all time. And where Return of the Living Dead, Fright Night, and Reanimator, it's all debatable with their horror comedy. I think they definitely count, but I want to go with something that's that's straight up horror comedy, like more even, like 50-50. I think this one counts because it's a horror premise, though. And it's freaking hilarious too. So and it makes a really good companion piece with my number one choice. So I feel like I have to put this list. It's probably mostly a comedy and action adventure, but
It's definitely the funniest one.
yeah, I think it definitely counts as a.
With his cheesy lines. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's kind of they made him a little more like stupid in this one. Like he's a little more incompetent. He's still a badass, but yeah, but like in part two, he wasn't like as he didn't make I don't know, he didn't make as many like dumb decisions. He's almost like a real life Homer Simpson in this, just a badass heroic version.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Irish Knight. Yeah, it's whatever you want it to be. I agree. It just, it pains me not to put Return of the Living Dead, Fright Night, and Reanimator on here, but to be fair, they've been on a lot of my other lists. So,
so my number 2 would be Shaun of the Dead.
Nice.
Oh,
Awesome movie. I love it. Absolutely hilarious. And a great zombie film too at the same time. It's like a legit zombie movie with great effects, and it's scary at times, but it's hilarious. It's absolutely, when it comes to the comedy, it delivers 100%. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are absolutely gold.
It's undoubtedly a horror comedy.
Yeah, no question. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And George
Bruce
Romero
too.
was a huge fan of it too,
Mhm.
and that's why he had them show up in which one was it? Land of the Dead. Simon Pegg played one of the zombies, and
I think so.
Edgar Wright, the director.
Yeah.
Because man, it's undeniable. It's hilarious. Some good gore in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome movie. I love when probably my favorite part is when they pretend to be zombies.
Yes.
And the guy's like, "Who made you king of the zombies?" And then he does his impressions. Like, damn, that's good.
I love English humor.
it,
I love English humor. It's my favorite.
Yeah. And they're all throwing their records at the zombies. The Batman soundtrack, I'll throw it.
Yeah. I love when they're outside of the bar drunk and they're like dooga 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 dooga, and the zombies like yeah, classic.
Yeah, I love British humor, and there's even a lot of serious moments too, some sad moments, and really great, some really gory moments too. It's pretty graphic with the gore, but yeah, it's really, really freaking hilarious too. British humor is awesome. It's some of the funniest.
It's like a romantic comedy in a way with zombies.
Yeah, they call it Zom rom-com.
Yeah. There's been a problem with the table, babe. You didn't book it, did you?
You get those flowers for your mother, didn't you? Yeah.
You got red on you. Like when you're just walking through the street, like completely oblivious that there's like people, zombies walking around. You're just like going to the store, buying shit. Guy's like dead on the ground.
Oh, now I want to rewatch it again.
Same here. I haven't seen it in a long time. I saw it at the theater when it came out.
Nice.
That's a good comparison. Yeah, and I don't know if that's enough comedy in Dog Soldiers, and it's more of a horror action horror.
There are some funny parts, but yeah,
definitely some funny parts.
Cool. 4K Blu-ray of Halloween. I still need to get a damn 4K player. But still feel like I'm not ready for another format. I feel like Blu-ray still isn't old enough yet for another format.
Get with the program, man. So many
like, man, I
great
just collected all
releases
these
on.
Blu-rays. I just collected all these damn Blu-rays. Now there's yet another format. It's like, damn,
That's
man,
always how it is. There's always
I
going to be
know.
something else is going to come along. Oh, I got to buy it again on this
Exactly.
format.
I've bought the original Halloween and Halloween 2 so many times. I'm so sick of buying those movies. I bought them so many times.
I am never buying that movie again. I have like
Yeah.
10 copies.
Yeah. Winchester, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's
Next
your number
up,
2 horror fan?
next up for me is a film that has a bit of everything, and it is, of course, Army of Darkness.
Nice.
I agree. It's like horror, comedy, fantasy, adventure. It's just kind of everything. But I loved this franchise and this film since I was a kid. The one scene that always had me gut laughing was the London Bridge is falling down. And going, my fair lady. And I have quoted that one skeleton for like almost 20 years now. Let's get the hell out of here. Yeah, it's just so much fun. And yeah, you're right. It could be PG-13. Other than like the one geyser of blood, there's like no blood in it at all.
It's true.
You know, like
bad language too.
Yeah. Like in the scene where he shoots Evil Ash like point blank with the shotgun and it just burns his face. If this was Evil Dead 2, his head would be gone. But yeah, it's a great film, a lot of fun, still some good horror to it. And I just love how every Evil Dead film kind of has its own vibe to it. Always feels
That's true.
It's a very diverse trilogy.
Oh, you got compared to Philip and Selmo in the chat.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get caught up. Yeah, I do plan on getting a PS5, especially when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. I'm going to be all over that. Yeah, Nightmare 3, I think, is a horror movie with a little bit of comedy. I think part 4 is where it started to just get silly with the comedy. It wasn't scary anymore. Yeah, you got a question there, horror fan. Are you from Texas or Louisiana? Your accent similar to Phil and Zelma.
I am not from Texas or Louisiana. I guess southern vibe to my voice.
Where'd you get that steelbook? That's pretty sick.
This would be the Scream Factory 4K steelbook. So,
Very, very nice.
Wow, that's really cool.
hell yeah.
There's so many additions to that movie. It's like insane. you probably have all of them, don't you?
That's another movie that I've bought a whole lot. VHS, and I bought 2 different versions on DVD because there was the director's cut with the original Apocalypse ending, and then the theatrical cut with a theatrical ending that that was actually filmed later. And then of course the Blu-ray has both of those, and then you get another version. You got a theatrical, the director's cut, and the international cut. So
yep.
That. All right, before I get to my number 1 choice. All right, so yeah, it was debatable about these 3. Yeah, Return of the Living Dead, Fright Night, and Reanimator. I love all 3 of these movies. If they count, then they would definitely be my top 10. And I like all 3 of these way better than Idle Hands and Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein. Miracle from London would be right up there with them. But I consider these the holy trinity of 1985 really, really fun, really entertaining horror films. But I think all 3 of them would classify as straight up horror with a little bit of comedy. especially Reanimator, because there's not really a whole lot of comedy in this. There's very, very funny scenes. It's very, very fun and enjoyable, but I'd say it's definitely mostly straight up comedy, even though the blood and gore is done in kind of an over the top, absurd, cartoonish way, but very enjoyable and very great special effects, of course. But it's definitely mostly a horror. Same with Return of the Living Dead. It's definitely some really funny moments and really funny characters. It's very fun. They're definitely very, very fun, but I think it's mostly a horror. Fright Night, I think, is very, very close. This definitely borders on horror comedy. It comes very close because it is very funny and, of course, definitely very fun and enjoyable. I love all these three movies. I could just talk about them forever. But
yeah,
for number one pick, it's going to be undoubtedly a horror comedy. And I think it's the horror comedy. It's going to be Evil Dead 2, of course. Was there any doubt?
Nice. I knew that was going to be in there.
Oh, yeah. And it's quite possibly my favorite horror movie ever made, too, tied with the original Halloween. I can't decide between the two. It depends on what I'm in the mood for. If I want to watch a straightforward, scary, suspenseful, atmospheric, creepy movie, I'll watch Halloween. But if I want to laugh and have a really good time, I'll watch Evil Dead 2. This is where Ash transformed from kind of a nerdy, kind of cowardly character that he was in the first movie. He was almost more like a final girl in the first movie. He kind of just got lucky and was able to defeat evil. This is where it becomes a chainsaw arm, shotgun toting, one-liner spinning, wisecracking, heroic badass. My favorite horror protagonist ever. And Bruce Campbell is just the man. I talk about this movie ad nauseum on this channel, so I'll just sum it by saying it's both scary and funny. It blends the two seamlessly. It's not as scary as the first one. The first one was straight up horror with very, very, very little to no humor whatsoever. This one was really, really funny. It's very clever and very witty, too. The humor is kind of akin to The Simpsons in its heyday. It kind of makes you think a little bit. It's that kind of humor, clever humor, and it's really, really funny. Yeah, it scares, humor, and gore really, really well in one nice little package. That's my favorite. And Fright Night, Return of the Living Dead, Reanimator count, just say they're on the list, too. But it's debatable. I wanted to include them really bad, but I just
great.
Yeah, you're right, Irish Night. Yeah, there's I don't even want to say how many copies I've bought of Halloween 1 and 2. Sometimes in the same format.
Yeah. Hey, I know you guys have seen my Halloween collection. It's like
yeah. It's even bigger than mine.
Big old stack of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say Monster Squad's a horror comedy. Definitely.
Yeah.
That would definitely be my top 10. It's a little more, has kind of more of a family feel to it.
Yeah.
It's horror. It's horror, but it's kind of like, kind of like a
kids' horror.
Yeah, like a kid's horror.
Yeah, it's like Goonies for gorehounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, Irish Night. We same top 2 movies. Yeah, he and I have a whole lot in common. We actually even have the same first name, which I won't say here. I won't reveal that. Don't you reveal either, Night. That's right. Wolfman's got nards. That is a great movie. I love it. I'm in the minority, but I actually prefer Monster Squad to Goonies, only because I'm more of a horror guy. Goonies is definitely technically a better movie. It's better written, better acted, better directed, all that. It's technically a better movie. I just find Monster Squad more enjoyable because it's horror. I mean, of course, it's got Dracula,
more up your alley, right?
Yeah, it's more my type of thing. Though Goonies is definitely clearly a better movie.
Yeah,
it's just preference. Irish Night actually met King Diamond and Andy LaRocque not too long ago. I'm so jealous. Man, King Diamond's one of my heroes. And Andy LaRocque's one of the most underrated metal guitarists ever. He's in my top 5. He's freaking incredible.
Awesome.
It's all good, Irish Night. I was just kidding. I was just being facetious.
So I'll say a couple honorable mentions. The first one I really wanted to put on there, but it's like like I said, I only watch it like once in a while, so it's like, how can I, in all good faith, do that? So I'll just put as an honorable mention, Young Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
An excellent tribute to the Universal Frankenstein movies, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hilarious, you know. It's brilliant, you know. Mel Brooks is such a great director, and Gene Wilder, of course, is great, and Terry Garr, fantastic cast.
Gene Hackman was the blind man.
Yes.
Spoofing Bride of Frankenstein.
He was really good too. Yeah. Showing his comedy chops.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely more of a comedy. I mean, it's a spoof of a horror movie, of course, but I'd say it's definitely just more of a straight up comedy parody.
Yes.
Also, like Dracula Dead Loving It, which is also directed by Mel Brooks. I think that's underrated because I always thought that movie is really funny too. It parodies the 1931 Bela Lugosi movie and the 1992 Francis Ford Coppola, Bram Stoker's Dracula. It parodies both of them very well.
True. And then the next one I'd say is Sleepaway Camp 2.
Oh, yeah.
Pamela Springsteen is so funny in that movie.
Yeah, she's very
cracks
enjoyable.
Me up. It's such a fun slasher movie. I love it.
Yeah, it's totally different from the first movie. The first movie was way more serious and really creepy and unnerving and unsettling. The second movie is just straight up silly and just funny.
I'd say it's straight up horror comedy.
Yeah. Well, the first one was way more serious and genuinely creepy. And the most shocking ending, I would say, ever.
I just love how nonchalant she is. Like, killing it to her means nothing. Like, it's like breathing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does a smile on her face, you know, like kill somebody. Number one is Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, my absolute favorite horror comedy of all time. I love it. Absolutely love it. And, you know, you got all the great monster mash, you know, all those classic characters all together in one movie. Like you said, you did see that in House of Frankenstein, but I feel like it was done much better in this movie, you know.
Definitely.
And obviously, huge return for Bela Lugosi, of course. And like you said, they mixed the monsters in much better here than they did in the House movies, for sure. And, you know, Abbott and Costello are at their absolute best here. They absolutely kill it. And, yeah, everyone involved. And I like how they take the Universal monsters seriously, and that way it makes it all the more funnier when they're playing off of the comedy duo Abbott and Costello, of course. Yeah, it's just brilliant. It's classic. It's probably the last great Universal monster movie, you know? And they ended on a bang.
Yeah. Well, the Creature from the Black Lagoon movies were pretty good. And those came after that.
I only liked the first one, really.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So yeah, Daniel, to answer your question, yes, Sleepaway Camp 4, The Survivor, is an unfinished movie. It's just a bunch of footage put together. They never finished it, and what little they did film, what they cobbled together wasn't really that great. That's probably better than Return to Sleepaway Camp, but that's like one of my most hated sequels ever. So we didn't compare our list, Irish and I. We just have a lot in common. We always have similar lists every time we do these live streams, and yeah, we don't ever discuss it beforehand. It's always a complete surprise, but we're just so similar. We're cut from the same cloth.
That makes it fun. That's what makes it fun, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's a testament to how great those movies are. Absolutely.
Some honorable mentions for me would be, of course, all the ones that you guys mentioned. I would have said Bride of Chucky as well. That has some fun moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that movie. Crap, man, I should have. I should have been one of this. I like that better than Idle Hands.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That's got stuff in it. lick my plate, you dog.
Dick.
Yeah, I guess that would count.
But my number one will be my holy grail.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, very similar to Hellhound is Halloween and Evil Dead 2 are tied as my favorite horror
Hell
film.
yeah.
But yeah, just a lot of great horror, a lot of good stuff still, but the slapstick of just vibe to it is excellent. It's the simple things that'll make you laugh, like Ash falling through a chair, you're like, and then the deer head just fucking howling at him. I love when all inanimate objects are like,
Like the lamp and
the classic scene where his head pops up, Ash just screams like hell. Someone's in my fruit cellar.
Someone with a fresh soul.
That's awesome.
The whole eyeball gag where they step in it.
Goes in the girl's mouth, yeah.
But yeah, God, I love Evil Dead. And yeah, favorite horror comedy as well. Ash Williams for life.
Oh, yeah.
We just cut up our girlfriend with a chainsaw. Does that sound fine?
I think one of the funniest, more subtle jokes is when he cuts his hand off and puts it under a bucket. He puts a bunch of books on top, and the top book is A Farewell to Arms.
Yeah.
That's one of the more. It's something you might miss upon your first viewing. I think that's really funny too.
Yeah.
Swallow your soul. I swallow your soul. Swallow this. I saw it at the theater back in several years ago as a double feature at that and Army of Darkness, and everybody laughed their ass off when in that part, and the whole theater erupted with laughter.
Yeah,
It's amazing. I just watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, my wife and I watched it not too long ago. We watched the whole trilogy. I was a little hesitant to show her the first one because of all the gore and stuff. I didn't think she'd enjoy that, but I was like, well, I really want to watch the other two, and it'd be better if we watch all three of them. So,
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's endlessly quotable.
Yep, but I enjoyed everyone's list. The horror comedy stuff was a fun time.
Likewise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely could have included Bride of Chucky and Texas Chainsaw 2 and probably even Fright Night, Reanimated, and Return of the Living Dead. But yeah, there's a very fine line when it comes to horror comedy.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Some of them are right there, like they border on it, but
yeah, I was.
Some of them are horror movies with a little bit of comedy.
I was debating putting something like Scary Movie on here, but I'm like, that's more comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came really close to putting Fright Night, but I was like, I don't know. It's very fun and enjoyable, but it's more like horror with some comedy, I think. But I don't know. It's very close.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Tomorrow I might change my mind and say, no, it's a straight up horror comedy. It should have been on my list. Oh, well, at least I mentioned it several times.
Yeah. I know people hate it, but I would have even put Seed of Chucky. I have a good time with that movie.
Me too. I think it's hilarious because, people always bash it, and it's like, well, if it was advertised as a straight up scary horror movie, then yeah, but it was advertised as a comedy. It's a damn funny one. It's a lot of inside jokes and Easter eggs for horror fans. It's freaking hilarious. Some of the jokes fall flat, but most of it's just funny as hell. So as a comedy, I think it's great. I think the movie's underrated. I know it's stupid. It's one of the weaker ones, but it's freaking hilarious, though. I mean, it does the job. When he cuts the hole in the door with the axe and he shows his face, and everybody's expecting, here's Chucky. He's like, I can't think of a thing to say. I almost died laughing when I saw it at the theater.
Would you consider Scream a horror comedy?
Mm,
I suppose it's probably more of a slasher than a comedy. But
yeah, it has that
there's definitely a lot
self-aware.
of comedy in it.
There is. It has kind of that self-aware, satirical like feel. Like it's almost like mocks its own genre. Yeah, it's definitely some comedy. I'd say borderline, but it's taken
Yeah.
more seriously. Like, yeah. But if somebody considers it a horror comedy, I'd say they're not wrong.
Yeah.
I have not seen the Foo Fighters horror comedy.
I
haven't seen that one. Never even heard of it.
Yes, it's called Go 666.
Yeah, I heard about it. I never saw it though.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. That's right.
Got Carrie King in it, so he's.
Yes, Bruce Campbell is the man. Absolutely, yeah. He's my favorite part of that trilogy. Yeah, I don't think I would either. Yeah, it's a meta slasher. That's a good way to.
Yeah, I guess that's a better word.
Well, there definitely is some comedy for sure, of course. All right, any closing thoughts about horror comedies before we get to our favorite death metal bands?
Yeah, we don't have much time, but
yeah, we've got a little more than 20 minutes, so we better.
If I have anything to say, I'd say to everyone, hang out tonight, chill out, and watch a horror comedy.
Oh yeah, I'm always in the mood for a horror comedy. Always. There's never a time where I'm not in the mood for a horror comedy. All right, I'll go ahead and start us off again. I'm not going to spend too much time on each band, but yeah, top 5 death metal bands. Number 5 is most likely going to be Autopsy.
nice.
This is their debut album, Severed Survival. Chris Refair played drums on Scream Bloody Gore by Death. He was the drummer for Death on their debut album. And when he left Death, I think he moved somewhere. I think he moved far away, so he couldn't be in the band anymore. I don't know, but he formed Autopsy, and he did the vocals in addition to the drums. He's got a pretty cool death metal voice, and he's a great drummer too. But I think Eric Cutler and Danny Corrales are very, very underrated guitarists. I really like their creative and highly imaginative riffs. They've got some really creative riffs and really well thought out solos as well. And I think that, Cutler and Corrales are very underrated. But in my opinion, they're right up there with Chuck Schuldiner and Trey Adsigto and Pat O'Brien, Jack Owen, Rob Barrett, Eric Rutan. When it comes to death metal, I think they're very underrated, just as good as some of the greats, especially those riffs. Like so many great creative death metal riffs. Autopsy's awesome. Yeah. Absolutely love them. And I think they're still really good. I think their newer albums are just as good as their 80s stuff, in my opinion.
Hell yeah.
I feel like their early stuff sounds a lot like Death, like the early Death.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm just going to old school traditional Death, Daniel. Yeah.
I have one there that might be considered a
good choice.
Mellow death. Melodic death metal.
Yeah, it's depending on how you look at it. A couple of mine can be considered brutal death metal, but I don't pay too much close attention to like subgenres of subgenres.
Subgenre of the subgenre.
I mean, I know what technical death metal is and melodic death metal, but I just kind of group them all together and just say it's all death metal.
Yeah. I'm gonna say number 5 for me is Death.
Good choice.
Yeah, it's a band that just never had a bad album, not one. Excellent band. They start out like real, like raw and nasty, almost like early Slayer or Autopsy or whatever.
Yep.
And as they went on, they got more and more intense, more and more technical, and that's a lot of the stuff that I really like Symbolic and Human and Sound of Perseverance are awesome. I love the more technical stuff, I think. They got real technical towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
brutal stuff. Awesome. And obviously they're one of the forefathers of the genre, you know.
Mhm.
Chuck Schuldiner is amazing, you know, great guitarist, great vocalist, very creative.
He was very, very
Yeah.
talented.
Yeah,
Great songwriter too.
right?
Definitely. First up for me is going to be a band called Bolt Thrower.
Oh, another old school.
Bolt Thrower. Oh, good choice.
They pretty much all their. I think there's only one album towards the end that I was just kind of on, but for the most part, their catalog is great. Joe Bench is a great bass player for the band. The vocals are excellent. My favorite album from them would probably be War Master. That album just killer. But yeah, it's one of those bands that is no longer around. But I miss them. They were a great band, and they got some killer stuff. So, Bolt Thrower.
Nice.
Yeah, Bolt Thrower is great. Yeah, War Master is a really good album. Realm of Chaos is really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly, I actually don't have any of their albums on CD or vinyl. I'd like to get some of their stuff. Because yeah, they're awesome. I like them a lot.
I
They're
will say,
underrated, actually. I don't think they get talked about quite as much as they should.
That's true.
there's anyone out there who misses Bolt Thrower and just the sound that they then definitely check out a death metal band called Frozen Soul because they sound damn near identical to Bolt Thrower.
Really? I never heard of them.
Cool. I have to check out more of their stuff. I have heard some of their stuff, though.
Mm-hmm.
Great choice, Irish Knight.
We got the Viking death metal.
Yeah, I'm on Mars. I never heard of the Faceless, but yeah, I like all those other choices for sure. Great choices. So it's my turn. All right, my number 4 is going to be Obituary.
Oh, legendary.
Yeah, I really like John Tardy's vocals. He's a very unique death metal vocalist. He's a little similar to Chuck Schuldiner, where it's kind of like more like a raspy, like kind of higher pitched shriek of a growl than some of the more lower, more guttural death metal vocalists. Yet he often doesn't sing real lyrics. Sometimes he just kind of makes up words, and a lot of the lyrics are kind of just like blood, death, kill, gore, and stuff. But but it still sounds awesome. Yeah, him and his brother Donald Tardy, the drummer, and I think the rhythm guitarist Trevor Perez. I think they're the only 3 members who have been in the band the whole time. They've had a lot of great guitarists like James Murphy and Alan West, great lead players. Yeah, they're great. Especially the early stuff is really, really good. Yeah, Autopsy's awesome. Obituary. I already talked about Autopsy. Obituary is awesome, and yeah, definitely one of my favorite death metal bands. I really like their sound.
Hell yeah.
Definitely one of the longest running, and they're still around.
Absolutely, yeah. My the lead guitarist in my band, Dismal Ascent, he was in a band several years ago that actually opened for Obituary.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I could have been in that band with him.
Yeah.
But,
no, imagine.
Yeah, so pretty cool. And I think they also opened for 6 Feet Under, with Chris Barnes, the original vocalist of Cannibal Corpse.
Nice.
I think they opened for them too.
Yeah. I love Obituary. When I first heard them, it took me a while to get the vocals because his is very much more like
Yeah. Sounds like he's gonna vomit on the mic. Yeah, it kind of took me a while to get used to it too. It was kind of like an acquired taste, but once
That's
it grew
funny,
on
like
me,
he's gonna throw up.
yeah, his vocals took some getting used to for me, but they grew on me. And once I really got into them, I started really loving him. Now he's one of my favorite death metal vocalists of all time. Pretty cool. Daniel met Frozen Soul.
Nice.
Amon Amarth, Cannibal Corpse, Obituary, and wow, that's awesome.
Cool.
That's right. Andy LaRocque played on Individual Thought Patterns, and it also had Steve DiGiorgio and Gene Hoglan, and them along with Chuck Schuldiner. That's like a super group right there.
Yeah.
It's a straight up super group.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite lineups ever. I mean, how can you go wrong with?
I might throw you guys for a little bit of a loop because I freaking love this band and have for a long time now. And they are one of the first death metal bands, Necrophagia. Freaking love them. They're just so gross sounding, so gory sounding, so rough and raw, and I don't think anybody mixes horror movies and metal together, and death metal together.
Yeah.
Sick, man. And obviously a lot of people only know them because Phil Anselmo was with them for a little while,
Under the alias of Anton Crowley. So a lot of people know it was him. He's actually a really good guitarist.
Yeah, he sounded great in that band.
Yeah.
And I love a lot of the stuff that he did with them, like the Black Blood Vomitorium and the Holocausto della Morte and the Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
I just love that so many of their songs are about specific horror movies, like the Cannibal Holocaust and the Howling and the Exorcist, or the Lucio Fulci stuff, all the zombie and City of the Living Dead and all that stuff, and it's almost like a perfect soundtrack to those movies, like it has such a great Lucio Fulci vibe to it,
Yeah, that is really cool. They did that.
And Killjoy is one of the sickest vocalists, without a doubt.
Rest in peace. Yeah, he was awesome. He had a really unique voice too.
And a lot of it, I can understand what he's saying. A lot of it,
Yeah, it's pretty decipherable. It's pretty clear. You can. Yeah, I'd say Death Clock counts. Sure.
Great choice.
They went on tour and stuff, didn't
they? Yeah. Next up for me is going to be Carcass.
Yes.
I know technically their first two albums are grindcore or whatever.
Yeah. Especially the first one.
Yeah. But I think Heartwork speaks for itself. That's a top 5 death metal album right there.
Hell yeah.
Everything, the instruments, the melodic element, the fucking just everything about the band. I could listen to Heartwork by itself every day and never get tired of it.
Me too.
Yeah. Carcass is just so badass. I would love to see them live one day, but
same here.
That's my biggest one that I want to see that I never have yet. One of these days, damn it.
I think Necroticism is my favorite album. I really like Symphonies of Sickness a lot too. I just wish Bill Steer still did vocals because it was cool when he did the low gutturals, and then Jeff Walker did kind of the higher pitch raspy screeches, and they switched off. Now Bill Steer doesn't really hardly do vocals anymore. Jeff Walker is the only the sole vocalist, and Bill Steer just kind of does backup. It was cool when they both did. They both switched off because it made it very unique.
Yeah, very true.
But they're still a great band. They're still very, very cool.
And even their modern stuff is still fantastic. Like Surgical Steel or Torn Arteries, that stuff's great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a hater of Swan Song. It's definitely their weak stuff, but there's still some good stuff on it.
There's some good stuff on there, definitely.
Yeah, it's not unlistenable. Yeah. It's not like Elude, Dividend, and Sanus.
No, nothing like that. It's got some groove to it,
Yeah.
Like Black Star and.
Yeah.
Keep on rotting in the free world.
But yeah, Carcass.
Carcass rules.
Awesome choice.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, they almost made my list. That would definitely be in my top 10. I really wanted to include them, but I just like these other 5. They'd probably be number 6, quite for sure. All right, so my number 3 is going to be probably the most well-known death metal band. It's actually also the band that got me into death metal. And I think they're kind of the Metallica of death metal, not because they're commercial or radio friendly or anything like that. No, not at all. They're not mainstream or anything, but they're just the most well-known. This could be Cannibal Corpse.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
I love how their lyrics are basically a horror movie in audio format. Though a lot of their lyrics are way more disturbing and way more gruesome than any horror movie I've ever seen or probably ever will see. It's very, very brutal, very gory and very graphic and very awesome. Especially Chris Barnes was in the band. He was the original vocalist on the first 4 albums, and he wrote pretty much all the lyrics when he was in the band. His lyrics were very, very graphic and disturbing.
Oh yeah.
But never like sold out or anything. They still write about really, really sick, really twisted stuff. But but he always had his lyrics had like kind of more of a nasty like sexual vibe sometimes, like about like rape and necrophilia and stuff. So it was even nastier back then. Really, really sickening stuff. But yeah, I freaking love Cannibal Corpse.
Ooh, that's awesome. The bleeding.
Gore Obsessed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They have a very similar look. Yeah, with all the like zombies. Very similar look. But I actually I'm in the minority. I actually prefer George Fisher. Chris Barnes was great. His low guttural growls were awesome. He can't sing it. He can't do that anymore for sure. His voice has really declined. I'm not a big fan of 6 Feet Under, except for maybe their first 2 albums, which I think are pretty good. But their later stuff is not too good. But George Fisher, I think, has a little more control. He has a little bit of a wider range. Like he does the deep, low growls, and he does the high pitched screeches really well. Chris Barnes, his like screams were more like a, and George Fisher's were more like a. It just sounds way more cool, in my opinion. I know I'm in the minority. I think they might have had a little more creative riffs possibly during the Chris Barnes era. But I love both eras. I think I'm glad that we had both of them because they both definitely contributed a lot to the band's history. And I don't think they really have a terrible album. Some are a little weaker than others, but I think they've been very consistent over the years. I would love to see them in concert. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Have you not yet?
I haven't seen Cannibal. I've always wanted to.
Oh man, you gotta.
I know.
I saw him a couple of years ago. I saw him.
Yeah. Daniel says that he saw Carcass. It was an awesome show. I bet it was. Mike Pope's in the chat. How's it going, Mike?
What's up?
Irish Knight says, yeah, it was an awesome deep pull for Necrophagia.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Phil was only on that one album, right?
No, he was on. Well, the only full length one was Holocausto della Morte, but he did 2 EPs. 2 EPs: Cannibal, Holocaust, and Black Blood Vomitorium.
Right, but Holocausto was the only studio album that he
was only full length album.
Right. Yeah. You ever got into the Cannibal Corpse? Yeah, their album covers are great. Their album covers are what grabbed me. That's the reason I started listening to them. The first time I listened to it, I wasn't ready for it yet, but it eventually grew on me. And they're the band that got me into death metal for sure.
And with that being said, my number 3 is Cannibal Corpse. No doubt, they gotta be on there.
Yep,
absolutely.
Probably the biggest death metal band of all time.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, the most well-known. Like you said, the most consistent. They're still kicking ass to this day. And I have to say, I am a little more of a Chris Barnes era fan. It's just a little bit more classic to me. I love, Tomb of the Mutilated and Butchered at Birth are just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the bleeding. And I love even the first album. But yeah, But there's not to say that there's a lot of great stuff with the George Fisher era too. Definitely.
I can
Like
definitely
was
understand.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand preferring Barnes. I can definitely see that. He had a very unique voice too, and he was definitely one of the pioneers too. So he was one of the
And
first.
plus, he was a
ever
good
do that voice.
songwriter. You know, the
Yeah, oh,
lyrics.
absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, George Fisher doesn't write the lyrics, so
Yeah.
Barnes
So
was
that's
more.
a big.
He was more integral to the songwriting process. Yeah, George Fisher. Yeah, he's a great father. He's like a big time nerd too. He loves like World of Warcraft and I think is a Star Trek that he really likes and stuff. So I'd get along with him really good. I like all that stuff too. He's a very gentle, really friendly guy too. He's nothing like like his vocals would make him seem. He sounds evil as hell.
Like when I went to the concert, I think probably the heaviest sounding one was the Scourge of Iron. Man, when they played that, I was just like, like it was so freaking heavy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so many great albums, and so consistent, so heavy, so brutal, gore-soaked lyrics. You know.
Yeah.
Very gory and graphic and gruesome.
And they're just
like a great
movie. Yeah, and they're just a great band, talented musicians, you know, incredible drummer, you know. And they've had several great guitarists over the year, you know, like Jack Owen and
Pat O'Brien, Bob Rousset, Rob Barrett, now
right.
Eric Rutan, who was in Morbid Angel.
Right. That was a great era too with it.
And Alex Webster is by far my favorite death metal bassist. He's incredible.
Yeah,
his skills on the bass are just phenomenal.
He's kind of the glue. He's like I'd say he's like the glue of the band. Like
absolutely, the backbone.
Like the Steve Harris of death metal.
Definitely. Irish Knight, I would recommend you just start at the beginning with Eating Back to Life.
Yeah.
Just kind of work your way up. Eating Back to Life almost had kind of a thrashy feel to it. It was a little bit of it was death metal for sure, but it kind of a thrash metal feel to it as well.
Yeah.
It kind of like that. It came out in 1990, but kind of had like a little bit of a late 80s kind of feel to it a little bit.
But they are my number 3 as well. Cannibal Corpse.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, like you both said, they are the most well-known. They're the ones that go viral on like TikTok. A lot of clips from their shows or something.
Yeah, I see them all the time.
And I love the Chris Barnes stuff. And I'm not making fun of anyone, but I will never forget the day I was like, I wonder what 6 Feet Under's up to. And I listened to their new song at the time, and my ears were blasted with "You Took the Night Bird." Oh, and then he was, I'm like, oh.
And he always does the oh, it's just man, it's like it's just
that is a bad one.
bad. It's very bad.
But you cannot deny his impact on the death metal scene overall, because those are
highly influential for sure.
Corpse Grinder, a killer vocalist as well. He can windmill so fast, he's essentially a damn helicopter.
Yeah.
All right.
The man is like all neck. Oh, cool. Made Irish Knight a Cannibal Corpse fan, possibly.
Look at that.
Yeah, good, brother.
You have such a good influence on people.
Yeah, Corpse Grinder is like, he's like all neck. His neck is like a tree trunk.
Yeah,
it's definitely from all that headbanging windmill.
Yeah,
that's really another thing.
He's a great frontman.
That's another thing when you go to their concerts. He's like, "Don't try to out headbang me; you will lose."
Yeah, nobody's gonna win that.
Yep.
Chris Barnes had a really cool stage presence too. He kind of his eyes like going in the back of his head, his hair in his face and stuff. That was really cool. I kind of respect Barnes more because he was more influential, one of the pioneers, and of death metal. He was one of the first to do those type of vocals, along with like Jeff Becerra and Chuck Schuldiner. So, but I just like Corpse Grinder. I think it's just Corpse Grinder has a wider range and it could do a little more with his voice, and he's like been consistently good, whereas Barnes has kind of declined. Well, not kind of.
Yeah, I get that.
But his era is awesome too. It's very, very close for me. I really just like them both equally in different ways.
Yeah. And the final thing I'll say for Cannibal Corpse is one of my favorite videos ever is Corpse Grinder goes shopping at Target. That is
I haven't seen that.
so good. He's just walking around Target like, oh, you get great deals on these and these.
I've seen those. Yeah, those are hilarious. You would never guess that he was a death metal vocalist if you just like saw him in his videos and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so it's my turn, right?
Yep.
All right, my number 2, my second favorite death metal band. It's almost a tie with my number 1 pick. It's very close, but I'm gonna go with Morbid Angel.
Nice.
Yeah, and much like Cannibal Corpse, I like both eras, both of the different vocalists they have. David Vincent, on their first 4, had that awesome raspy hiss, which was very, very unique for death metal, especially their first 2 albums. Like he still had that awesome, unique voice, and then great bass players too. And then of course Steve Tucker, who took over, starting with Formula's Fatal to the Flesh, and then Gateways to Annihilation, which is my favorite album from the Tucker era. He was definitely a great replacement. That's a really good era too. Transincto is my second favorite death metal guitarist, next to Chuck Schuldiner. He's an incredible songwriter too. He's got those Lovecraftian solos. He's very, very creative with his riffs. He never runs out of ideas for riffs, and he's an incredible guitarist and songwriter. And they've branched out a lot. They have a very unique sound for death metal. They've done a lot of things that other death metal bands I feel like would be like too hesitant to do or something. Like they've definitely tried out a lot of things. Sometimes it didn't always work, but I like that they branched out a little bit and did some different, more unique stuff for death metal. They're probably the most unique band in death metal, which I really applaud them for. Though, yeah, Lou Dividend and Sanus, I think we can all agree that was just a total failure. That's the Saint Anger of death metal. That was terrible. But I like all their other albums. I think all their other albums are great for the most part. So, yeah, Morbid Angel. Yeah, they were one of the Cannibal Corpse got me into death metal, but Morbid Angel was another one that I listened to early on that really cemented my me being a death metal fan for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, they definitely contributed to my growing interest.
They have a unique sound too,
Yeah, they do.
Very, very evil.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Some of the stuff Trey does, man, is just crazy out there,
Yeah.
Like conjuring the devil.
Hell yeah.
A great guitarist. And they had Eric Rutan at one point. Remember during the, I think from the Domination era to the Steve Tucker.
Yeah, he was on Domination, and then he left, and he wasn't on Formulas, and he came back for Gateways, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was it. And then I think he left again, and because Transincto was the only guitarist on Covenant, Formulas, and Heretic. I'm pretty sure. And now, of course, Eric Rutan's in Cannibal Corpse. He replaced Pat O'Brien.
Yeah.
Well, might as well just say it. My number 2 is Morbid Angel.
Hell yeah.
Amazing band, just phenomenal. When you think of death metal, I mean, that's just one of the bands you instantly think of, right? Because they're so legendary. They've been around so long. They're one of the earliest groups, and they're great at what they do, Probably the best drummer and death metal, I would say.
Pete Sandoval was incredible. Yeah. He was the fastest.
It
sucks he's not with them anymore.
And that's a shame.
It is. He's my favorite death metal drummer. Yeah, Pete was just he was a drum machine.
That's just interesting how just like Cannibal, you had the different eras, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have seen them with David Vincent back in the day.
I did see them once with the Tucker era. They were with Pantera. They opened for Pantera.
Oh yeah.
It was awesome. And Phil came out and sang a song with them. That was really cool.
That's right. Yeah.
It was them and Anthrax when they were with John Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome though.
And
absolutely.
My number 2 as well.
Nice.
My love for Morbid stems because they were my exposure to death metal. And it happened in 2 ways. One, when I was a kid, I watched Night of the Demons 2 and angel songs. The other was Beavis and Butthead when they reacted like "Bow to me, so yeah, Morbid Angel to me is my most nostalgic death metal band because they're the ones that I first saw, and I just, other than Allude to Venom, Smelly Anus, I love all
Smelly Anus.
Other than that album, I love all their work, especially Altars of Madness and Covenant albums.
Yeah, Altars, Covenant, and Gateways are my top 3 favorites, and I think Blessed Are the Sick and Domination are both great too.
Yeah,
I didn't like Heretic. Heretic has kind of a flawed, the production is kind of isn't the best, but it's got some great songs like Enshrined by Grace.
Yeah,
it's super evil sounding. That's what I like about it.
Hell yeah,
very fast.
Yeah, definitely Irish Night. Go listen to Cannibal Corpse.
And listen to Morbid Angel as well.
Yeah.
While you're at it. I mean, they got some
Morbid Angel's probably more
masterpieces, you know.
Yeah. Morbid Angel's probably a little more like musical, like more musically intricate than Cannibal Corpse, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I would agree, yeah.
Love it.
All right, so before I'm going to reveal my top number 1 favorite death metal band, just a few honorable mentions real quick. Carcass, of course. I really wanted them to make the list. They'd probably be number 6. It was very close between them and Autopsy for the number 5 spot, and even the number 4 spot with Obituary. Also, Deicide, Possessed, who many consider to be the ones who invented death metal, and I wouldn't disagree. I could definitely see that. Atheist, Entombed, Cryptopsy, Suffocation, Vital Remains, Immolation, and Massacre. Just some of my other favorite death metal bands. But the number 1 death metal band is, of course, Death. Was there any doubt? Yeah. Possessed had a song called The Exorcist, and Death, of course, has a song called Evil Dead. So there's always a horror movie connection with death metal, I think, from the very beginning. Yeah, Death is undoubtedly the best. It's pretty much always Chuck Schuldiner, just a revolving door lineup. He is Death, essentially. He's an amazing guitarist, great riffs and solos, just immaculate, a great vocalist too. He's just amazing. He kind of had a different vocal style on each album, which I thought was cool. Like if you compare his vocal style from Scream Bloody Gore to their final album, Sound of Perseverance, it's very, very different. I like how he mixed it up a little bit. Each time it had a kind of a different sound. And he always had great musicians with him, like the great Andy LaRock, who I mentioned earlier, Rick Ross, Terry Butler, Bill Andrews, Steve DiGiorgio, Gene Hoglan, James Murphy. I think was even played lead for him at one point, if I'm not mistaken. He's always had great. And then, of course, Chris Refair, Chris Ryford, I think is actually how you pronounce it, on drums, who went on to form Autopsies. So, yeah, Chuck has always had some great musicians in his arsenal. He's always found some of the best musicians to join his band. And I think that's why Death is the best death metal band. I mean, hell, they're called Death. I mean,
what could be better than that?
Yeah, what could be more death metal than a band actually called Death? That's very close with them and Morbid Angel for my number one spot. It's very, very, very close. It's almost a tie.
Yeah.
And Death never had a bad album either.
Right.
They were always great.
And let's see, do I have any honorable mentions? Yeah, I'll say one that gets made fun of by probably everybody in the death metal community, 6 Feet Under. Because I'm actually a fan. I do like them.
Nice.
But I get why people make fun of them. I'm not gonna sit here and say some of their albums are not bad, but some of them are great too.
I like the early
some
stuff.
of them are some of my favorite death metal. So
those Graveyard Classics albums with all the covers of like rock songs are pretty bad. It doesn't
all
work.
Right, I see your point.
It doesn't work with a death metal voice. Those songs do not work like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and AC/DC. Those songs don't work with a death metal growl. I'm sorry. It does not sound good.
And the one horror fan 88 mentioned, I can't remember the name of that one, but yeah, that's so bad. And 13 is really bad, but a lot of them are really good too. Listen to Undead. That's friggin' awesome. Like, you talk about a great comeback. Like, that was full blown death metal, badass, heavy as hell.
I think the music has always been pretty good. Just Chris Bard's vocals have just deteriorated, just gone downhill so much.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, he's able to squeeze out a decent performance, I guess. But to be fair, I haven't listened to a lot of their stuff over the years, but
But The Haunted, that's a classic, man.
Yeah, Haunted is good, and Warpath is good. I'm sure there's some other gems.
Warpath, Maximum Violence, that's really good.
I guess it was Bringer of Blood was the song I heard by them. It was just laughably bad. I think that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called, something like that. Michael McNally's in the chat. How's it going, Michael? Welcome to the Morbid Hour.
But my number one is Carcass.
Yeah.
Nice.
Freaking love Carcass. They just do it for me, I love all their albums. Even Swan Song has some good songs on there, And they had what I feel is the best comeback album in death metal, Surgical Steel. After they had been gone for 13 years, I was not prepared for how good that album was. Like, holy shit.
That was really good.
Around.
Really good.
Like, I was expecting something decent, but they just kick your ass.
Yeah.
Symphonies of Sickness is a classic. Necroticism is a classic. Heartwork is a classic. Even Torn Arteries, I love too.
Absolutely.
Awesome stuff. And I guess they started out, grindcore, but I like the first album too.
Yeah.
I think it's heavy, it's brutal as all hell, and then they went kind of straight death metal, and then went, I guess, more melodic death metal with, they started that kind of with Necroticism, and then more in that direction with Heartwork, which is an absolute my favorite death metal album, Heart Fanny says, what a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I do agree with Hellhound. I do wish they kind of had, switched off with Bill Steer doing some of the vocals with the deep growl, and Jeff Walker with the kind of more higher pitched scream.
Bill Steer's gutturals were almost kind of sound like Chris Barnes a little bit.
Yeah, super deep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah. It was awesome when they both, they switched
Yeah.
it was so unique.
Yeah, it really was. And some of the songs are so intricate and so like give you almost like Iron Maiden vibes at times, like so like melodic, and I love that too. And they can just get as heavy as any band on earth. Some of the most monstrously heavy riffs you've ever heard, just like stomp you.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. They're amazing.
Absolutely. Most definitely.
I'll make rather quick since my phone's about to die soon. But honorable mention, Obituary, Autopsy, Deicide, Gate, Killer. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. But my number one is Death. Morbid Angel may have been the first death metal band I experienced, but Death is the one that.
This episode brought to you by Fact.
And it's a band that has a little bit of everything. They got classic death metal, melodic, technical. It's like a hive mind of greatness. Even Chuck Schuldner's, like side project, like with Control Denied.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Leprosy is also in my top 5 death metal albums. Just perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Rest in peace, Chuck Schuldner, legend. Yeah, Death.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
All right, guys. Well, this was a really fun stream. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening on the Morbid Hour here on the Horror and Metal channel. Sorry it took us so long to do another live stream, but I look forward to getting back into it.
Yeah,
back at it.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
this was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed your guys' lists, and I hope everyone else did as well.
Absolutely, you did. Great hearing you guys' picks.
Likewise. Hell yeah. All right, guys.
All right.
Peace out, guys. Have a great night.
Have a good one.
Till next time.
Later.
Yeah.